Overwhelm. It's that sneaky little gremlin that makes your to-do list feel like a personal attack, and it convinces you that scrolling TikTok is research. And suddenly you are deep diving into Grey's Anatomy reruns instead of actually doing anything productive. Sound familiar? Yeah, you're not lazy and you're not incapable. You're just overwhelmed. And today we're breaking that cycle. I've been there, staring at my laptop, paralyzed by indecision, stuck in the mental loop of where do I even start and what if I mess up? But I found a way to take back control. And in this episode, I'm giving you the exact steps to stop overwhelm in its tracks and start taking action with confidence. So grab your favorite cozy drink, friend, take a deep breath, and let's kick overwhelm to the curb. Hey there, you just stumbled into the Anxious Creative Podcast, where overthinking turns into ahas, mess ups become magic, and anxious spirals, totally part of the process. I'm Dawn Bradley, your messy, imperfect host, here to help you, the recovering people pleaser, the perfectionist, to stop chasing the unachievable and start embracing the chaos. Spoiler alert, that's where the real magic happens anyway. So buckle up, friend, because we're about to have some laugh so hard till you cry moments, a few hard truths to help you grow, and naturally a little, or let's be honest, a lot, of oversharing. You ready? Let's dive in. There was a time where I felt so overwhelmed by my business that I would just sit at my desk staring at my laptop doing absolutely nothing. My brain was in a constant loop of where do I even start and what if I mess up? But I found a way to take back control, and today I'm giving you the exact steps I use to stop overwhelm in its tracks. So what I need you to know is that overwhelm comes from a place of indecision. It comes from feeling like you don't know what to do next or not feeling confident in what the next step is. And I got to tell you, that story of me sitting at my desk not knowing what to do next isn't that long ago. I experience overwhelm regularly, but I get myself out of it quicker now. So I need you to understand that overwhelm isn't something that I have conquered always. It's recognizing when it's happening and quickly making a decision, knowing that no matter what, there's no such thing as a wrong decision. So what most people do when they get overwhelmed is they stay stuck and they start looking for external permission. You start asking 10, 15 people, what we do, and you need to stop outsourcing you're overwhelmed to everyone else, because it's actually going to make you more overwhelmed. The more you get other people's insights and opinions, the more insights and opinions you're going to get, and the more overwhelmed you're going to feel because you're not going to know what direction. And this is what I have found has helped me, is asking myself, what kind of life do I want to live? What kind of business do I want to have? And recently, I just made a business decision, and it was hard, and I'm grieving this part of my business, letting go of this part of my business. But I had to ask myself, what kind of life am I wanting to create? And that's one of freedom and flexibility. And so letting go of this one part of my business made sense when I'm building a life around freedom and flexibility. This one part of my business that I let go of was actually tying me down in a different way. And so when you know where you're headed, when you understand what you're wanting to create, it's a lot easier to make decisions and reduce overwhelm, because overwhelm generally comes from indecision and not knowing what to do next. Feeling like there's too many options, too many decisions. What if I make the wrong one? And I need you to understand there's no such thing as a wrong decision. You always can, no matter, as long as you make a decision, you're making the right one. If you let the decisions get made for you, then that's when regret can happen, when you stay in limbo. And I always think to personal experiences. When I was in my marriage and I was 28 years old and it was very toxic, but I remember thinking the only way out of this is if he hits me or if I die. I thought those were the only two acceptable ways to get out of the marriage that I was in. I didn't know what mental and psychological abuse was at the time. And I didn't see that I would still be okay if I chose to leave. And this overwhelming feeling of I can't leave. I don't know what to do. I'm so unhappy. This can't be right. Eating two cheeseburger meals in a dark parking lot after work and just avoiding going home, being scared to go home, feeling like I was walking on eggshells, not being able to relax at home, not like loving my partner, but knowing that this can't be what a marriage is, and just being so confused and so overwhelmed, and like people not knowing what was going on behind closed doors, and people telling me to pray more and to seek help and to try harder and to go to therapy, and not knowing what we had done, and just feeling completely like I'm so confused because I can't see this being what is right and what I should be in. Yet I kept asking other people, what should you do? What should I do? What should I do? I don't know what to do. And being paralyzed in this overwhelm. And as soon as you take the step and the decision, and I chose to leave, and I am so thankful I have. The person, I was just telling someone recently about that relationship that I was in and what I endured. And I'm not saying I'm an innocent partner, and I wasn't the best wife at the time. It takes two to tango generally. But telling them what I endured and what I put up with, and this person went, I can't see you taking that. And I was like, oh, today, Dawn, would be like, fuck right off. Excuse my language. But then I didn't think I was worthy. And then I feared taking this step and what I would lose. It's so oftentimes when you're overwhelmed and you're trying to make a decision, you get really focused on, what am I going to lose? I'm like commitment phobic through and through. And I remember like signing back in the day when you'd sign contracts for your cell phone, when cell phones were like first new, this is aging myself, and getting scared of getting into a 2-year commitment for my phone. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 2 years. I don't know where I want to be in 2 years. Totally not wanting to feel trapped. And I would get overwhelmed with, I don't know, do I want to sign with this Fido or Telus or whatever? What if I make I really believing that there was a right or a wrong way. I was very black and white in my mentality. And what I've learned over time is that there's always recalibration. You can misstep. You can make a choice and go, you know what, I don't know if that was in best alignment for what I want, and you can recalibrate. But I don't believe there's any wrong decisions. And so overwhelm comes from getting stuck in, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I pick the wrong thing? And I look back on my life and I married the wrong person. But you know what? The person I am today, I would never have become without that experience. So thank goodness for it. I am so thankful for what it taught me and how I chose to move forward. So I need you to understand that when that overwhelm comes and you're afraid of making the wrong decision, I need you to understand that no matter what, as so long as you choose to learn and grow and move forward from the experiences that you have, you cannot make a wrong decision. Yes, you might experience things based on the decisions that you make, but you will never regret what it taught you and who it helped you become, so long as you take on that mentality. So know that you don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. What's one small, insignificant step that you can take consistently? And if you're overwhelmed in your business, maybe it's by social media, or maybe it's by what to do next. Everyone's starting to educate. Should I start educating? What is the comparison trap? And starting to feel overwhelmed of everybody's doing everything and I'm just me doing this. I remember thinking, I'm just a hairstylist just doing hair, but everyone's like doing this education stuff, and should I be educating? And I need you to know that if you are making decisions or you're feeling overwhelmed by thinking you should, like in order to be quote unquote successful means then you do this thing because these people are doing it, you need to put your blinders on. Remember what you are here to do, what purpose you want to serve, who you want to help, and are you doing something so that you can keep up with others? Are you feeling overwhelmed because you feel like you're falling behind and becoming irrelevant? Or are you feeling overwhelmed by so many exciting things you want to do? Two different things. Because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by things you think you're supposed to be doing. And then you start putting so many things on your plate, and they're exciting and they're fun, but are they moving the needle forward to where you're wanting to go? Again, like I said, I let go of a part of my business recently that makes me sad, and I cried and I grieved because it's a part of my business that I really loved. But I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's not in alignment with where I'm wanting to go with my life and my business anymore. And so in order to get closer to where I want to go, I have to let go of the things that no longer serve me. And that's hard sometimes. I've walked away from relationships as well, that this doesn't align with my values. This doesn't serve me, and I can't continue to move forward in the direction that I want to go. And it's heartbreaking because I've let go of friends. I haven't even let go of friends. I've let go and seen how I've stopped trying and investing and gone, you know what? I'm going to see if this is a two-way street. I've stepped back from friendships and gone, I'm putting a lot into this. I want to see if this is mutually beneficial. And I've taken my foot off the gas, not cut people out, not severed ties, but I've taken my foot off the gas of feeding the relationship and seen where they come in. And I wouldn't say I've lost friends, but friendships have died out and dissipated. And I've realized, okay, I think I was giving myself too much to create this friendship. When I eased off, I'm like, is it giving me what I need? And it's a really interesting thing. And so I know that kind of got off topic and I went off on a tangent, but clearly that was meant to be shared. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, I want you to think of what's one small thing. And this has been happening to me, I want to say for the last year and a half, feeling overwhelmed with what's my next move? What do I want to do? And just taking one small step forward, doing one small thing. And you know what, if you can do some small things, and like I checked off so many things on my to-do list this morning and it felt so good and I felt so accomplished. And these were things that were lingering and that weren't that pressing, but things I needed to get done and they were in the back of my head. If you can create some small wins for yourself, it'll develop this confidence muscle that'll make you feel like I'm capable. I can do this. I can take things on. But overwhelm comes, like I said, from indecision and feeling like you don't know where to start. So just pick one small thing that can take under 10 minutes and get it done, and you'll feel so good after. And that little dopamine rush of doing something quickly will snowball. And so if you're fear making the wrong choice, or you feel failure and so you stay stuck in the procrastinating mode, or you fear judgment of other people, I want you to start thinking why. Ask yourself why. Why are you afraid of other people's judgment? If they judge you, what are you afraid is going to happen? If you're afraid of failing, what are you afraid of happening? Why are you scared of making the quote unquote wrong choice? What will happen? And keep asking yourself why until you keep peeling back the layers to find out what the core is. If you're afraid of failure, why? What does failure say? What happens if you fail? Do you have what it takes? You've built your business up before. Why are you scared of building it up again? Is it ego? Is it people seeing you start from scratch again? I know that fear. I don't want people to think I'm not doing well. I don't want people to think that I'm suffering. I don't want people to think that I'm not thriving. Who the fuck cares what other people think? I do, actually. I hate when people are like, forget what other people think. Who cares what other people think? I actually really care what other people think. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But I actively choose to move forward despite the fear of what people might be thinking. I go, you know what? They might be thinking that, but more likely that's my own fear judging me and trying to hold me back. I don't think they're going to think that. I'm thinking that of myself. I'm judging myself. Every time you fear people are going to judge you or think something of you, it's actually your internal self. It's your ego trying to protect you and trying to tell you that you shouldn't, you can't, you won't, you never will. Do you know how many times I've failed? Do you know how many times I've embarrassed myself? Do you know how many times I've said something out loud on stage or in my podcast that I've been like, oh my goodness. Even putting myself out on the internet. I've received criticism, ridicule, or sarcasm or poking fun at me from some of the people in my life that I care about their opinion the most. And yet I get praise from people and strangers that I've never met that enjoy this, that actually impact their lives and their businesses. But some of the people closest to me that this podcast isn't for, or this isn't made for, but people that I love and deeply respect and want their admiration, I don't get it from. And I have to be okay with that. I need to find that self-worth. Just like last week's episode, I need to develop this identity and this worth beyond what the people I love and care about most think or say or tease me or poke fun at me of. Because other people's opinion of me does not dictate who I am. I know who I'm here to serve. I know who I'm here to help. And I'm not going to let overwhelm or fear of what might happen or what other people who I'm not creating this for think. Like I remember when I first started using Instagram for business and I just moved to Calgary and I kept being so fearful of what my past coworkers might say of me because I was getting loud. I was putting myself out there. I was shamelessly self-promoting and I was like, oh my God, what about everyone back home? What are they going to say? They're going to be like, who does she think she is? And which was again, my own internal voice. And I had to go, you know what? They're not the ones booking with me. They're not the ones paying my bills. It's the whole Mel Robbins thing. Let them. I haven't read the book, but I understand the theory. If it's not for the stuff that you're going to put yourself out there for your business, the fear, the overwhelm, what if people think this, or what if I make the wrong decision, and what are people going to think or say or do, or what if I'm embarrassed, and embarrassment means I'm being humiliated, and if I'm humiliated, then I'll not want to be seen. Deep breath, friend. I get it. I've been there. But remember who you're doing this for. And inside of Rock Your Business, we get really clear about who is our ideal client. What are we doing for them? Who are we serving? And staying so focused on them that anyone who doesn't get it, like just last week, someone made a comment. I got 2 troll comments on stuff on Instagram. One saying that my client's hair looked frizzy and unhealthy in their after photo. Another ridiculing me for my bad grammar, which yes, I'm not an English teacher. And like, I know the difference between your and your, like Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U''re. I just don't care. And I just like always use Y-O-U-R. It's just a thing. You can come at me. I know the rules. I understand the difference. I write really fast. I have ADHD and I don't care. I just don't. but I got this big long DM about it. And in the past, I would have been like, oh, I should never put myself out there. Oh, I'd be so overwhelmed about getting my proofreading and my grammar right. And it would stop me from putting myself out there. Where now I'm like, you know what? I could give a shit because I would rather get something out there imperfectly than hold myself back to perfectionism. And the people who are for me and the clients that love me and the people that I'll serve and the people that'll join Rock Your Business aren't hung up on grammar. And the ones that are like, I would never join her program because of her grammar are not the right people for me. And so being able to become so confident in myself of, yeah, I suck at proofreading, autocorrect gets me, and I don't check my grammar. And I know that doesn't define my ability to help people take the stress off out of their business and increase their revenue and create wildly successful creative entrepreneurs. I know that doesn't affect that, and they're not, one doesn't depend on the other. Letting that go has been such a freeing thing. Letting go the fear of the people in my past judging me and who I am and how I put myself out there today has been so freeing. Letting go of the fear of my friends and family being like, "Who? What is she doing? That is so. Ooh, that's not the Dawn we know." Like, I'll tell you this: the goofy person that you guys see of me, or the silliness, I don't feel free to be that way with some of my family. And I'm getting nervous even saying this because I think my family sometimes listens to my podcast, but they don't actually tell me they listen to the podcast. And it's like this weird. So if you're listening, family, I would love to know that you do listen. But this fear of them thinking that's not who she is, when really this is who I am at my core. I just don't feel safe to do that with people in my family, which is scary to say out loud and put out on the internet. But the reality is that the reason why I've created a safe space and a judgment-free zone in my community and with my students is because it's not something that I've felt before in my own life. And this is not a criticism or a critique of my family or the place or the friends that I have. It's an own internal thing where I have not felt safe. There's been we could get into a big, long, deep thing about why I don't feel safe in my life and why I've needed to create communities of safety and judgment free so that we can all blossom and grow together. So if you've ever felt like you couldn't fully express yourself, if you felt overwhelmed by the expectations of people that you think they have of you, or felt overwhelmed by, I need to make sure that I appear right, that I show up right, that I don't want to experience criticism or sarcasm or poking fun at me because it hurts too much and I'm very sensitive, but then I've been told I'm too sensitive and I'm told I feel too much and I'm not, then if I'm not allowed to be that version of me, then who am I? And then where can I be myself? And I just don't feel like I can even be myself. Ooh, let's take a deep breath together, friend. I get it. I feel you. I've been there. And the moment I started to let myself be my authentic self, which is very much a buzzword, and find a community and a place that felt safe to actually let my guard down and be my silly, weirdo, goofy self. And that's with you. And that's with the Rock Your Business community. And it feels so good. And at my retreats that I have here in my home, it feels so good to be able to just be the rawest version of myself. And the overwhelm starts to melt away. The fear of judgment, the fear of failure starts to melt away because I know I'm safe. And safety is huge. So I know this podcast took some weird twists and turns and tangents and in full ADHD, all in one place, but I know that you needed to hear this today. Friend, you are safe and you will not be judged here. I will always be someone that will support you and cheer you on and got your back. There's no such thing as a wrong decision so long as you make a decision. Go confidently in the direction that you want to head. Yes, you might make a mistake. Yes, you might go, maybe this isn't the choice. You can always recalibrate. You can always redirect and get back and focus. Maybe what you're headed towards right now, in 5 years, you're headed somewhere else. That's okay. You're allowed to correct course. There's no such thing as a wrong decision. Pick one small thing you can do today that'll take less than 10 minutes that will make you feel accomplished. If you only remember one thing from this episode, I want you to think of this. Overwhelm isn't a workload problem, it's a decision problem. Get out of your head and into action. What's one simple challenge or an action step that you can take immediately? And I want you to think of the 3-minute rule. If you don't know where to start, set a timer for 3 minutes and just start. Once the timer goes off, you'll either get going or realize it wasn't as bad as your brain made it to be. And here's the one thing method. Instead of asking, what do I need to get done today? Ask, what's one thing that will move me forward? Then just do that one thing. Remember, done is better than perfect. Next time you catch yourself overthinking, say out loud, done is better than perfect. Seriously, say it out loud right now. Confidence isn't something you get. It's something you build through action. Start small, start messy, but just start. The goal isn't to get rid of overwhelm completely. The goal is to not let it stop you. If this episode hit home for you, DM me over on Instagram and let's chat about overwhelm together. Woo! We just untangled the overwhelm monster. And look at you. Still standing, still breathing, still not buried under a pile of sticky notes. So freaking proud of you. So here's your challenge. Stop overthinking and just do one thing. Pick something tiny. Set a 3-minute timer and just start. No spiraling allowed, no second guessing. And if you're still feeling stuck, no worries. I got you. Head to dawnbradley.com/free class to grab my free masterclass on getting out of your own way and actually doing the things that make your business grow. Or if you want full-on accountability, Rock Your Business is waiting for you with open arms and zero judgment. Oh, and before you go reorganizing your entire spice rack instead of taking action, next week's episode is all about breaking free from perfectionism and actually finishing what you start. So if you're the queen of half-finished projects, me too, you're not going to want to miss it. Until then, take messy, immediate, imperfect action. Stop overcomplicating, and remember, done is always better than perfect. See you next week, friend.